Hey friends, it's Mrs. Hillberger. I decided to make a third video today, a separate one for social studies because I only had a few minutes left that I could record for social studies, and they have a great SciShow Kids video that I wanted to show all of you. And so the only way to do it is to make a new video. So you have 3 parts today. It is still Wednesday, April 8th, day 13. Mrs. Hill is still napping. Oh my goodness. She must be so tired. So Mrs. Hillberger is here. We have Little Tweet and Stella Luna. So this part of our learning is going to be social studies, and you don't need any materials at all except your eyes and your brain. Okay, so bring your eyes and bring your brain, and we'll do some good learning. Okay? I'm going to stop this real quick. I forgot to tell you guys what we're learning about. We've been learning about maps, right? And now in this SciShow Kids video, and today we're going to talk a little bit about how a globe is different than a map. It's a kind of map, but it's a special kind of map. So this whole SciShow Kids right here is talking about globes. And here's the word globe, in case you want to know how to spell it. Globe. Globe. All right, let's see what they have to say.
Have one of these? Maybe at home or at school. It's a globe, a model of the whole Earth, small enough to fit right on your desk. Think of it as a map that's in the shape of a ball. By getting to know your globe, you can get to know all of the land masses and bodies of water that cover our planet and what their names are. So let's take a pretend trip around the world. All of the blue on the globe, that's where there's water. And all the other colored parts, that's land. As you can see, Earth is mostly covered in water, with large land masses here and there. In fact, there are 7 different land masses on the Earth, and these chunks of land are called continents. This piece here is called North America. It's one of the 7 continents. The one below it is another continent called South America. On this side of the globe, we have some other continents. This chunk here is Africa, and up here is Europe. And next to it is Asia, our largest continent. Down here by itself is Australia, our smallest continent. And at the very bottom of the globe, and at the bottom of our planet, is the 7th continent, Antarctica. Most of our 7 continents are divided into smaller pieces of land called countries. That's what all these different colors are within the bigger chunks of land. Like in North America, but Australia and Antarctica are continents that aren't broken up into smaller countries. The other 5 continents have almost 200 countries on them. That's a lot of land. But what's all the water on the globe? If you think there's a lot of land on Earth, just wait until you hear this. More than half of our world is covered in water. Oh, hi, Webb, and hi, Bill. What are you guys up to?
Well, Jesse, we heard you were going to be talking about water, and who better to help you than a couple of ducks who, I don't know, live in it.
Good point.
And actually, more than 70% of the world is covered in water.
You're right. Isn't that cool?
Some of it's fresh water, like what you find in lakes and rivers, where we hang out.
And by far, most of it's salt water, like what fills the oceans. And our planet is covered in 5 main, very big oceans.
Exactly. And can you name the 5 oceans?
Of course we can. First, there's the Pacific Ocean, over there between Asia and the Americas. It's the largest ocean in the world. It covers almost 30% of the planet.
It's so big, all 7 continents could fit over it, with room to spare.
Whoa!
But that's not all. On the other side of the Americas is the Atlantic Ocean, the planet's 2nd largest ocean.
The next biggest ocean is the Indian Ocean, below Asia and in between Africa and Australia.
You're right. And another major ocean is up here at the top of the world, where there's no land, just water. This is the Arctic Ocean. The Arctic Ocean doesn't look much like the others in real life. That's because most of the time, it's covered in ice.
Brr.
And there's just one more ocean we should mention.
I know, the Southern Ocean.
That's right. The Southern Ocean is the name for the waters that surround all of Antarctica at the southern end of the Earth.
I'm just going to come out and say that that's too cold for me.
Me too. We're not penguins. Now we know our globe, or at least the basics of it. The fact is, there are thousands of cities and lakes and rivers on the globe that we didn't talk about. And all of this different stuff is what makes our Earth so different and interesting as you travel from one place to the next. So, do you know what part of the globe you live on? Are you in Australia or Europe? Or here in North America like us? Let us know. And if you have a question for any of us
About our amazing world's weather or animals.
Or plants or anything else.
leave a comment below or send us an email at kids@thescishow.com. And we'll see you next time.
Bye!
All right, friends. We learned a little bit about globes, and I have a globe here that we are going to talk a little bit about. Now, this globe looks a lot different than the globe that we saw on the SciShow Kids. But they asked us a question. They said, where do you live on the globe? Does anyone know where we live? Do we live here? What about here? All right, let's take a look. So we live, this whole continent is called North America, and the green part is the United States of America. And sometimes we could just call that the US or America. And we, let's see if we can get a little closer, are over here. Now this globe doesn't show all the different states and how they're divided, because it shows the whole world, but I know that the capital city of North Carolina is Raleigh. So we are somewhere like right around here, close to Raleigh. That's where North Carolina is. Okay, so that's where we are. And North Carolina is a pretty big place, but look at how big the whole world is compared to just North Carolina. So for today, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between maps and globes and what we can learn by looking at a map or a globe. So here's what they want us to discuss. A map is different from a globe. A map is flat and usually shows more details of a smaller area. A globe is round like a ball and is a miniature model of the entire Earth. So if you were floating around in space, you were way, way, way up in space, and you were looking back at Earth, you would see that it looks like a big ball, and you would see probably some clouds, but you would see a bunch of blue and then a bunch of greens and browns, depending on where you're looking. So this doesn't have blue. Instead, it shows these big sections here as black, but on a regular globe, these big sections of black would be blue. Does anyone know what the color blue represents on most maps and globes? Not blueberries. Good try, little tweet. What does the color blue represent? And in this case, it's the big black chunks. It's the water, right? So these are big, big, big oceans. We just learned on SciShow Kids that most of the Earth is covered in water, and the oceans take up, I think they said 70% of the Earth. Now, there are little spots too that might be like big lakes or rivers, other bodies of water all around the Earth. But blue on a map or globe usually represents water. Then sometimes the land can be all sorts of colors, like on this globe, the colorful parts show the land, but sometimes on maps and globes, the land is just shown as green or brown. But on this one, they did different colors so you can see where the different countries are divided. All right, so here's what I'm going to ask you guys. When might you be interested in using a globe instead of a map? So when would be a good time to use a globe rather than using a map? Let's think about that for a minute. Okay, So I'm going to give you an example. So we live over here, North Carolina. So let's just pretend that, let's just use Owen as an example. Let's say Owen loves koalas. And he says, Mommy, 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 I want to go to Australia to see some koalas. And I'm like, Owen, Australia is really far away. And he says, Mom, we have a car. Can't we just drive there? I really want to go to Australia to see koalas. Now, if I want to show Owen how far away Australia is, because you guys, it's on the other side of the world, I'm going to need a globe rather than just a map, right? Because that'll really show him where Australia is compared to where we are in North Carolina. And also, we cannot drive there. We cannot drive through the ocean. So usually when people go to Australia, they fly all the way across the United States, which on an airplane will still take 5 or 6 hours just to fly all the way across the United States. And then they have to fly for a very, 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 very long time across the Pacific Ocean to get to Australia to see some cute little koalas. Now, if you really want to see koalas, you could probably just find a zoo that has koalas, but I'm just using this as an example. So this globe helps us to really see that Australia is on the other side of the world. It's not just like a place you can hop in a car and drive to, right? So you can kind of see where different parts of the world are compared to other parts of the world. Now, sometimes there are maps that show the whole world and they're flat, but this, again, really shows us where everything is compared to other places, okay? And plus, globes are fun to spin if you have one that spins. I'm making everybody on Earth very, very dizzy now. Are you guys getting dizzy? Just kidding. All right. I hope that was helpful. Go ahead and tell a stuffed animal or a grown-up or a brother or sister. Don't bother the grown-ups if they're working, though. Go ahead, or your siblings if they're doing schoolwork. So maybe a pet or a stuffed animal if people are busy. Go ahead and tell them something that you learned about globes today. All right. Awesome job, guys. I'm proud of you.